Hey, hope you're doing well on this Wednesday for our word of the day. We're continuing in Romans chapter 12. This week, this day, this Wednesday, we come to a verse, a very important verse, a very powerful verse. Actually, this verse was one of the favorite verses of my old weightlifting coach, Gary Frank, and he used to always say this often because in the weightlifting world, you'd always have people with these big egos and big attitudes, and Coach Frank, he was an 8 or 9 time world's strongest man. I mean, strongest bench, the strongest squat, strongest deadlift in the world. But he was one of the most humble men I've ever met in my life. And he used to always quote this verse, and this verse has very special meaning to me. That's what Paul says in Romans chapter 12, verse 3. For I say, through the grace given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, as God has dealt to each one a measure of faith. So what Paul is about to go into, he's setting up kind of a preface to what he's about to go into, because he's about to go into telling people how to use their spiritual gifts and that God has given each person a spiritual gift. But before he does that, he says, hey, remember, no gift is better than any other gift. No person is higher than any other person. Yes, we each have a different role, we each have a different function, but no matter who we are, no matter what we're doing, remember that it is only by the grace of God, as Paul says in verse 1 of chapter 12, by the mercies of God that we have anything. Everyone should humble themselves before the Lord. No one should think more highly of themselves than they ought to think, because we only have what we have because of the grace of God. So you may have different gifts, you may have different talents, but that doesn't mean we lower them over another person, or we put down someone else because of what they have or what they don't have, or what we have or what we don't have. We humble ourselves before the Lord, and we recognize, we realize that what we have been given has been given to us, that we may give it away, that we may serve others to the glory of God. Because remember, we're connecting all this together. And if we're connecting verses 1 and 2 to verse 3, we are humbling ourselves so that we may appropriately think of ourselves in the right light, that we may live as a living sacrifice for the Lord, for the glory of God. As always, I hope to see you this Sunday. Have a blessed day.